I want that. Like, I really want to live in a neighborhood where, you see your, John down the street and you're like, hey, come over to the pool.
Well,
We'll
I
have a
just want
drink.
to also say thank you for being patient with me,
Aw,
because you've wanted to make friends.
yeah. Hey, welcome back to Hot Marriage, Cool Parents. I'm your host, Jamie Otis Hehner.
And I am Douglas Hehners, and we are coming at you live from our family room, which we're going to be leaving soon.
This is technically actually our dining room, and we are packing up our house and getting ready to move into our forever home. I'm so excited.
Do you remember when we first started this podcast, where we started it?
No, in our son's nursery?
Yeah. We originally started it in Hendrix's room, and then it went to our bedroom for a couple.
Went to the basement.
Then the basement for a while, and then our bedroom here in Florida, and now the family room.
Yeah, and then when we live in a home, our forever home, we're actually going to create a little podcast room that's going to be, not just some random space in our house. Like, we're going to actually create a space for it because we really enjoy this podcast.
Yes.
I mean, we read your 5-star reviews and we really are so incredibly thankful for them. And speaking of that, every single episode, we want to give one of you who write a 5-star review a shout out, because it's not lost on us that, like, you stop your day to write a review on either, whether it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you're listening. And it means the world to us. So V Goodwin, she wrote, adore them. Love Jamie and Doug. Been an OG fan since MAFS. OG. They're so entertaining, and I love how they talk about so many different topics: marriage, kids, products, life. Love them. Aw, thank you so much. We love you too, truly.
Love you.
Thanks for taking the time out to write that review, and honestly, it makes us feel like we're doing something right. So thank you so much. And so we are sharing a lot about Doug's journey, and this last week he had a little withdrawal experience. I mean, I feel like you should share more.
So with any new medication, you don't know what to expect. And with a medication that I was so dependent on for so long, you hope for the best and you hope that it works. And this was really the first time where I've went a couple days without taking any Suboxone at all, because that's what this new medication is supposed to kind of negate the need to take that. But yeah, there's been a couple times where, I start to get antsy and I start to feel some of the withdrawal symptoms come on. This one night in particular, though, it was late. I want to say it was probably like 9:30, maybe 10 o'clock. And all of a sudden, I just got nauseous. I started sweating, nauseous. I was sort of zoned out. And Jamie was talking to me, and when I stood up, we were kind of in the bathroom, and I said, I think I'm going to throw up. And after 1 minute, I actually did throw up. I closed the door on Jamie, and I said, yeah, I'm going to throw up. And then I threw up, and that, I don't know, that was supposed to be expected from this medication, nausea, stomach problems. And I haven't been able to eat properly, I would say, like a full meal since I started taking the medication.
Really? You haven't told me that. I was like dumbfounded. So we're in the bathroom, we're getting ready for bed. We're just talking. And then all of a sudden he goes, I think I'm going to be sick. And I'm like, what? Like, have you been nauseous this whole time? And I had no idea. Like, were you nauseous?
No, it just came on to me. And, I hadn't had anything to eat for dinner. I think this is when you went out, because you had just done your Become Body Positive webinar, and you went out with our assistants. Shout out to Ruth and Kirsten.
Yeah, thank you. They're the best.
And so I was home, and we got dinner, but I made dinner for Hendrix, and all I had was, I wasn't really hungry, so all I had was a drink that I made, a Go Hydrate. I made a Go Hydrate drink.
Which is just an electrolyte drink. Where was Henley?
Exactly.
You didn't make dinner for Henley too? She was here too.
No. Was it?
Yeah, Henley was here.
Okay. So I made dinner for both Henley and Hendrix. Yeah. I was thinking it was the other time, but I made dinner for Henley and Hendrix. and I didn't have anything to eat just because I wasn't hungry. And I just made myself a drink, which is a Go Hydrate, just because I was feeling like I was dehydrated. I've been getting these little headaches throughout the day, but this nausea just hit me. And it was like I haven't thrown up in a really long time. And it was just all of like I didn't have anything in me to throw up. And I'm sorry for anybody that's listening.
Yeah, I hope you're not eating right now. I guess if you are, you may have stopped. We should have put a trigger warning on that.
But yeah, I threw up twice, and then it was kind of over with. But that just kind of came out of nowhere. And then just stomach issues and going to the bathroom, and that's been the worst night so far. After taking this medication, that's been the worst night so far.
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked to see. I mean, you went to bed early that night too. I could tell you weren't feeling good, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm like rubbing your back and giving you a hug.
Yeah,
and
there's
I'm
just
like,
nothing.
What can I do to help you?
No, and the withdrawal symptoms that I used to have, like I know what those are. It's very mild, but it might be mental. I don't know. It might be mental because I go in moods throughout the day, and when you have a habit of taking something at certain times every day, there's these little triggers that you have, and then also you know how your body feels, and when your body feels a certain way, that's when you could also tell. So a lot of these things, it's like fighting the need to want to go to the Suboxone and take it, but knowing that I technically don't need it. And that's the whole point of this new medication that I'm on. So that's been the worst night so far. And
which honestly is such a blessing, because I mean, from what I hear from you, going through withdrawal is not. I mean, it's far worse than that. So
yeah, I mean, and like I've been able to sleep, which was always the main issue. When you go through withdrawal, you can't sleep. You roll over in bed and you feel like you need to stretch out, and then you stretch out and your ears pop, and then you just want to curl up in a ball, and you're up and down to the bathroom, you're sneezing, you have goosebumps all over yourself. Your nose is running, your eyes are tearing, you're yawning, and like that's the miserable part of it. And I haven't had that at all, which is good because, you never know how these new medications are going to go.
Yeah, I'm so proud of you for sticking it out, because, I mean, at any point you could have just been like, never mind.
Well, there's been and the doctor even said that too. He said, if you can push through it. He goes, but, if there comes a point where you feel like you need to take it, like that happens. So, but I've been really trying to.
Oh, the doctor told you that?
Yeah, I've been really trying to not do that.
So wait, the doctor said that because I know that when you're on Suboxone, if you take the prescription pills or alcohol, you can get really, really sick, right? Like that's what it says.
Yeah. So it's not so much alcohol. I just choose not to drink because I never really liked drinking anyway. But anytime I have had like a sip or like a couple sips of a beer, I don't know, it just doesn't it makes me nauseous.
Interesting.
The taking pain medication won't work with this. It's essentially the same medication.
But I thought you could die. I swear I could.
It's essentially the same medication that I was on before, so it's going to block all of that. So it wouldn't make a difference if you were to take pain medication. But the opposite of that, though, is if you take pain medication and then you take a drug like this or Suboxone, then you go through serious withdrawal because it's taking everything, all the, from what I understand, the opioid receptors in your brain that the medication sort of attaches to. When you take something like Suboxone too early, it wipes all of that off. So it's as if you don't have anything holding you steady. And that's when you can start to go through your withdrawals and seizures and things like that, which, that's never happened to me before, like even early on, and which I'm fortunate, but yeah.
Yeah. Do you know anybody else who has struggled with this, or do you have anybody that you could like talk to?
No, I
That's
don't.
that's so sad.
Not really. I don't. I mean, I've been to group meetings. Never really had a mentor. I just stopped, and that's another reason. One, I was very embarrassed. Feel like just to let all of this come out. It was just very embarrassing to me, and it was the lowest point of my life, which is now so far behind me, and I'm coming to terms with it. Because a lot of the times you go through the guilt of all the hell that you put people through. But it's more like disappointment in yourself. But like as I was getting sober and clean, and I've been clean for so long, other than Suboxone, AA or the group meetings or finding a mentor and talking through things never worked for me, ever.
Why?
I found it annoying.
Why?
I don't know. I just found it, and
Well,
that's
what do they say to you?
they don't say anything. They try to be understanding, like hi, like it's a whole acceptance thing, and going through it. Just it never it made me more annoyed than anything.
I don't get that though.
I was mentally out of that. I was mentally checked out of wanting to ever go back to it. Like that hook was gone off of me and off of my being, off of my soul. I never wanted to go back. And so
to the opioids, you're saying?
yeah. And so
When someone talked to you about it, it annoyed you?
well, it was I didn't feel a need for it. And like I was going and hearing all these
Oh.
stories, and it was just like, you hear the same stories over and over and over again, and it's sad how easy it is for people to fall into addiction. But when you're mentally out and when you want to quit, and that's really, you can't force somebody to quit. You can't, like the person has to be ready.
Yeah.
And being in that environment, for me, it meant that I was never going to get out of that environment. Like you hear story after story after story, and they start to all blend together. And the annoying part was like I was just done. Like it's not helping me anymore. Like I was just over it, and that's why
But I feel like you
it's
isolated
different.
yourself.
Well,
You really isolated yourself, Doug.
but not necessarily isolating myself, because it wasn't like I was going to like these group things were making friends. Like for me, these were just people that I was just,
But what I mean by that, though, Doug, is, our kids.
I know.
Hello there. I see you. Hi, baby. You listen to Miss Kirsten, and Mommy and Daddy will be with you. Love you. Bye. For what I mean by that, Doug, is you have truly, and hear me when I say this, just from like a loving tone from your wife, truly, you have isolated yourself in so many ways. You don't see your friends as much as you used to,
Yeah.
like you don't have really any friends. I mean, you don't go hang out with people. You don't let people in. And so when people are telling you these stories, I guess it's annoying, but at least
Well,
like you could
no.
have connected with them.
But for me, it wasn't though. It wasn't that type of connection I was looking for. Like that's part of the recovery process, is to go to meetings and get through that. I felt like I was through that. I felt like I was already past that. And now is me going back into the real world, on my own. And I was fine with it. Those group meetings just never really helped. They did in the beginning, because, you want support getting off of it, but like I just was past it. And
So when did you start going to them? When you started taking Suboxone?
no, it was like very early on.
So what happened? So this is the truth of the matter, is that Doug and I have never really had a full-blown conversation about what this addiction has looked like. As a matter of fact, he hid it from me when we were married at first sight.
Yeah.
He hid it from me.
The Suboxone.
Yeah. You hid a lot.
Yeah, well, we never really
had-
got into a conversation like this.
I had no idea that it was as bad and it had such a strong hold. I mean, I didn't know you stole from your family members until we
Yeah.
talked about it on the podcast. I mean, you just don't open yourself up at all. And I think that what you might find freeing is if you can talk to someone about it. I mean, luckily now it's taken me nearly 10 years of marriage for you to be able to talk to me about this.
Yeah.
I mean, this is wild, Doug. And like, you just are a very closed shell. And,
you know, I went so long with having sort of a crutch, you know, like going out, with my friends and everything else. Like I was the last of my friends to get married. You know, so that sort of phased things out. Plus, alongside that, I was battling this painkiller addiction. And for a while there, that painkiller addiction made me isolate. Like my dog's scratching. I would purposefully not hang out with people because, one, I didn't want anybody to know, and two, none of my friends were into it at all.
Thank God, though, because imagine if you were in a crowd that there was someone into it, you could have spiraled so fast. So,
it's a very, very slippery slope. But, you know, through that time, you start to, whenever I would look forward to nights going out if I knew I had painkillers. Like, it got to that point where then if I didn't have painkillers, mentally I wasn't going to have a good time. And it would just be different because I would either feel like shit or it just like I just would be annoyed and want to go home. And I got so used to that. And, you know, through that time, all my friends were getting married. You know, I was going from one job to the next, and, you know, you start to, you know, I mean, yes, I've severely closed myself off from meeting people, which I think I was much better at. Maybe no, I wasn't really. I liked being in crowds. I used to. Even like when we first got together, like there were some times where I was okay going out, but
I don't feel like you liked going out at all when we first got together.
But like that's something that I'm still starting to get over. Like I just like the whole party scene and everything else, like in drinking and things. Like I'm much better in an environment where we're doing something rather than just sitting and talking, or, you know, like if we're playing horseshoes, if we're doing cornhole.
Yeah, you always like to do something.
Yeah, if I'm playing with the kids, if we're going to do wiffle ball, like I like activities.
But is it because if you're just sitting and everyone's drinking, you're going to, is that like a trigger for you to want to take pain pills or drink or?
No, it's just for so long, that was my whole social scene, was just like I would need that, or I would need to drink to go out, because like once you get to the point where you're addicted and you have withdrawals, like you don't want to be around anybody anyway. And any times that we would go out, it would be at a bar, or it would be going somewhere. And when you don't have that, you sort of lose a lot of yourself and being social. And
when you say you don't have that, you're talking about alcohol then, or the pills?
Well, I'm just talking about just pills and everything. Just not like sitting around. Like, it doesn't bother me that people are drinking. Like, it's never bothered me. It's not a trigger for me. It's just sometimes I don't know. It's almost like I make it awkward because I don't know how to hang out without an activity, without doing something.
Because you're now not having that crutch of being high while you're hanging out.
Right. And, you know, I'm trying to open myself up more to talk to people and make friends. And every fiber, I shouldn't say every fiber of my being, but for a while there, like I didn't care to make any new friends. Like I always felt like I had enough. I already had enough friends.
You don't even see the friends that you have. You don't even.
I know, but
I
I always know that they're going to be there. And at any point, like we were just always there for each other. But that's not possible anymore. Like that's just like, regardless, it's everybody has their own lives, and then you become a family person. Moving to Florida, moving to a new community now where we're going to be going, I realize I do need to make new friends. And I haven't had to make new friends in like a really long time, which is very strange to say.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense though. I mean, well, you were very popular in high school. So background is, I mean, you were the most popular guy. I mean, you were homecoming king, and you
Yeah.
were the football star, the baseball star, the
I
basketball star.
made the Hall of Fame
I
for
mean,
baseball and football.
in a way that seems so cool, but I feel like for you, that was like what you thought for a long time was the peak of your life. And like,
No, because I wanted to be a professional baseball player, and I was really good at it.
yeah,
And I went on a lot of professional tryouts where it was invite only, and even through college, that was still a possibility. Like that dream was still a possibility. And even through college, like I was very outgoing. I was friends with everybody. All the different sororities, the fraternities we never really got along with, but other people in sports that was at Pace University. Like I was very popular through there. But once that ended, that's when addiction started to kind
well,
of take over.
yeah, because you got hurt. And so then that, I feel like that's what I'm saying though, that time era was like what you thought was your peak. And then because you couldn't do the D1 or you couldn't do the baseball anymore, it's like you thought, it's almost like you thought your life was over, or I don't know. Like,
Yeah, it was more. I think it was more one, the addiction started to really take over it, but then it's you have so many expectations. Like when you're playing at a high level, and you're getting like it's a dream. Like when people say, like I have a dream of becoming a professional basketball player, a professional baseball player, like that was a genuine possibility up until I got hurt. And I think the pain medication helped me mentally just move
numb that
on.
all out.
Yeah.
But you really, I think that,
But it was also kind of to numb like the fact that I could have done more, you know?
yeah,
Like a lot of regret of like wanting to do things different. And that went on for a while.
yeah, that's really sad because, if you, I'm sure if anybody who knew you back then, like they would still be like, wow, he's so spectacular. But you probably didn't think that of yourself. I mean, if you're taking pain pills and whatnot, I can't imagine
Yeah.
you were thinking you were great.
Well, I know, like I'm proud of what I did. I'm proud of my accomplishments. I mean, I got to play all over the country.
Yeah. But then what
uh,
made you,
um,
but then what made you want to pop pills then? Like what I thought, I have always associated drug users as needing an escape. You said that,
yeah,
right? You need an escape. So,
or a numbing or anything.
so
But also for some people it is a disease, and some people can't help themselves. For me, and not like trying to go back and analyze like why and everything, was a lot of it was being disappointed in myself.
well, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And you were like, no, I was proud of myself.
Well, no, but I was very proud of all the work that I did, and and playing and the teams that I was on, and all of that. I was disappointed that I didn't work harder, and I didn't push myself harder.
But you got hurt. So how could you have?
There was always more that you could have done, and that's what was going on in my head. Like the times where like I would not go for extra hitting practice or fielding, or not making it truly my life in college. where, to play at a high level, you need to eat and sleep and breathe that sport. And looking back, I didn't work as hard as I could have.
Gotcha.
And that was kind of tough to deal with.
And so then that's what caused you to.
And then, once I got hooked on painkillers, though, it was hard for me to stop, because it was, it's one, the feeling, and just being able to have that numbness for the night, and the euphoria and everything else that comes with it. And then that goes into need. And that need part is where things start to get dark, because then your whole entire life is dependent on when you're going to get your next fix and where.
That just breaks my heart, because what an awful, slippery slope. And I just pray for our children, because obviously, talking about this with you, I'm like, this is my mom right now struggling with this.
And it got bad because I was always the captain of the team. I was always the one that would say, let's go here, let's go there, like just the leader. But I would always hide. I would always hide it. Everything was always fine, because I always felt like I needed to put on that front. Naturally, I am a very even-keeled person, even in pressure situations. But I was never good at sharing anything that was going on with me. And I was always the person that people would go to talk to if they needed like a pep talk, or if they needed to share something, if something bad was going on. Always the person that was the positive voice, and everything's going to work out, and everything's going to, be fine. I never had anybody to go to. Yeah, and I never knew how to have deep conversations with people. My friends, yes, like when I was living with my friend Tim, I feel like my friends know me. We hung out like every single day, through high school, and then even afterwards in college, until everybody started to get married. Like, we would literally see each other every day, knew everything about each other. But then after that, I don't think I got close with anybody.
Yeah, I feel like when I came into the picture, it seemed like you were really close to like your high school friends and whatnot, but we really didn't like hang out with them unless it was like, baptism or graduation party, or, it was never like we ever hung out because, we never just had people over just to have people over. And obviously when I moved to New Jersey, I didn't know anybody there. So it was I can't imagine how isolating it was for you to be there, but for me too. I felt so alone and so isolated, because we moved to where your family is, and and like where your friends are and where you grew up, and we didn't really have like friends though. And and your family, everybody has their own lives, and we were behind the, we didn't have kids and school and all that jazz.
Yeah, like even the times when I would hang out with my friends, like my friends always had, like, they were always friends with the neighbors. Like, even when we go to my brother's house, like they have neighborhood parties, and they have neighborhood, like everybody sort of knows each other, and, they drop by this and that. And I've always liked that, but I never had that ever.
Yeah.
Even the places that we've moved, like, we've really never had that.
We've never had that. But it's funny because we're probably, we're pretty well known, I guess, because we've shared our lives on television and stuff, and we have probably a significant following compared to some, but we don't have like close relationships with anybody other than the people that I end up hiring to work with us. I end up getting very, very close with them, at like they're like sisters. But I'm really excited to move into this house with the neighborhood, and I really want to like put ourselves out there and try to make friends with the neighbors, because we don't I want that. Like, I really want to live in a neighborhood where, you see your, John down the street and you're like, hey, come over to the pool.
Well,
We'll
I
have a
just want
drink.
to also say thank you for being patient with me,
Aw,
because you've wanted to make friends.
yeah.
You've been great.
Aw. Yeah, I never really understood. Like, I remember at like parties and stuff, and you would just want to leave, or you would show up late and not even want to go. And I'm like, I am trying to
I
make
know.
friends here, Doug. I don't know anybody. And he would be like, peace out. You can
Yeah.
stay if you want, but I'm out.
Yeah, I don't know how to hang out if we're not doing things. It's weird.
But I think you have
But
to.
like you're helping though.
I am.
Yeah. Like setting up, like going out and going to places and saying, no, just come. Like,
But
there's been a bunch of times where I was like, no, I'm not going to go. And then you've been like, no, you're coming. No, you're coming.
I'm over you telling me
And
no. I'm
yeah,
like, we're
like I
going.
am more than fine staying here. And then, and then I go and then I have a good time.
Well, because the problem is, Doug, is that you don't know how to feel comfortable in this new you. And you're not alone in that. You don't have to be a drug addict or a recovering drug addict or whatever to feel this way. I feel like so many of us don't know how to be comfortable with our own selves. And it took me, this is going to sound so hippity dippity, but like it took me actually meditating and like sitting with myself. Like, I didn't know how. I kept my life so busy before I got married to you because I didn't, that was my numbing the pain, was just
Yeah.
constantly with people do things. And then I had no choice. I mean, in a way, you really helped me because in a way, I had no choice but to be with myself and to learn to love myself and to actually accept myself and not be so like, it was just uncomfortable to just be alone with myself. And so we are the complete opposites because you're perfectly fine with being fine with like alone with yourself. But
Yeah.
now in a crowd, you feel so incredibly uncomfortable. You feel like you're socially awkward. You think, like you don't feel like you can hang unless you have an activity to do. But the truth of the matter is that you're not socially awkward. You're easy to hang with. You always have a good conversation with people. And it's kind of like, that's just kind of like your own like insecurity that
Yeah.
came.
Well, I think in my head too, I like, as soon as I get someplace, I like, I'm thinking about leaving.
I know.
It's like so bad. It is so bad. Like
Miss Maddie's here.
anywhere that we go, I'm immediately thinking about what time we're gonna leave.
I know, because you tell me, you're like, I'm not staying longer than 1 hour, one
Yeah.
hour. And I'm like, can we have friends?
know.
Can we make friends, please? All right, wait, someone's at our door. You're gonna have to
All right,
pause
hold
this. Aw, well,
So yeah, and I'm trying. I am trying.
oh, well, I can see you're trying. And even like tonight, we're supposed to go out to dinner with new friends. And I don't know how many times today you've said, do we have to go? Do we have to go? Do we have to go? And I'm like, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Because I think that we, for the past couple years, have been lonely and like isolated ourselves. We went on
Yeah.
a road trip trying to find happiness, and it was fun and it was happy, but it's exhausting. And it's like, if you just find a community of people that really love you and get you and want to be around you. And I want that for us. Like, we need that. And
Yeah.
the truth of the matter is, everyone says, why'd you leave Florida, or why'd you leave New Jersey? Why'd you leave New Jersey? Why'd you leave New Jersey? Even in New Jersey, even though we were
New
close
Jersey
to your
was
family,
I mean, it was a safety net.
it was a safety net. And we did have, of course, like, at the drop of a hat, your parents would grab, our kids for anything. They would always be there. But
Even where our house was,
we didn't have community there.
no.
We really didn't have community, and it just didn't. I mean, we were there for 5 years. I was there with you for 5
Yeah.
years. And all of those 5 years, I didn't find my own community there.
Yeah.
And we came here, we bought this second house here in Sarasota thinking we were just going to, live in it half the time. And we instantly,
Yeah. It wasn't until we came here, for me, it wasn't until we came here and stayed here for more than just like a month at a time, where, especially the new neighborhood we're going to, where I saw the I saw a community. And I
Yeah.
saw people that, like what a community, when you think of a good community, like what that looks like. Like
Yeah.
that's exactly what I felt.
Like they get together, they get together to play golf or,
Yeah, they
tennis.
know each other's kids. Like
Yeah.
everybody's,
Like we went to a party and with at a friend's house that lives in there, and not a friend. I say friend. We just met her.
Right.
We've hung out one time at their house. We're not there. She's not even really a friend. I mean, I would like her to be a friend, but her. We were like having lunch, and her child goes to the same school as the other parents, and so they were like, "Oh, we'll just pick up your kid for you." And I'm like, "Wow, that's awesome to have friends that." And the thing is, in New Jersey, of course your parents would drop everything on a dime, but it was like, first of all, they're older. They don't necessarily want that responsibility. And like, also we didn't have friends like your siblings already have their community. They have their people,
Yeah.
they do their things. And we weren't always invited. And not that,
No.
I mean, I get that. Like, I'm not trying to, I mean, we didn't live in their neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so the truth of the matter is I was like, I want to find that. And I just want it so badly. And so I would just like pray and think about, if we were going to uproot our family again. I mean, we have moved so many times since, we've been married for 9 years. How many times have we moved in that 9 years? It's been a lot.
I think 4.
I mean, it has been a lot. It was Manhattan to New Jersey.
Well, Manhattan and then to Harlem.
Harlem to then my apartment in Manhattan and like in, the Upper West Side. And then
Parlin.
And then Manhattan to New Jersey, which is Parlin.
Yeah.
And then from Parlin, we moved to
My parents.
your parents' house. And then from your parents' house, we moved to our other house,
In
our first
Jackson,
house where we had Henley.
New Jersey.
And then from there, we moved to Florida. And then we went back to New Jersey. And then we moved into an RV and lived in that for 4 months. And then we moved here. This is literally 8 times we have moved since we have been together. And we were about to move. That is nuts.
Yeah.
And we were about to move again.
Talk about not settling.
I mean, and I guess the biggest thing that I got is that we had lived in New Jersey for 5 years at the time, that I was like, why are we keeping a house up there when we got to plant roots? Like, I'm craving it. I want a friend that I can grow old with, and you deserve a friend that you can grow old with. And you didn't have, your friends are spaced all over New Jersey. We didn't, I would try really hard to bond with, and I did with a couple of your friends' wives, but we just, 5 years, you would think that we would have built some sort of a community and some sort of like a.
Yeah, it was more like, it turned out to be just special events.
Yeah, it was never like, hey, it was just never, like, I'm sure you listen and you probably have a friend that, when you just always know to go, or I don't know, like, and if you don't, you're with us. We don't either.
Yeah.
We're looking for that.
I mean, when I was growing up, and my parents' house, because we lived there, obviously, and conceived Henley there.
Yeah. In your old bedroom.
But like,
odd.
Yeah, it was weird. But the, that was a neighborhood where we knew our neighbors, we knew everybody. Like, you could ride your bike down the street and just walk into somebody's backyard, go over to your friend's house and ring the door. And like, it was just like everybody hung out with everybody.
Yeah.
That was an impossibility for us in Jackson, New Jersey. That was impossible.
That's where we used to live.
We barely had neighbors there. It was a busy road. And, this was, again, isolating.
Yeah, it was very isolating. So now we are excited to move into an area. And I guess, like, to just set the record straight, because everyone says, well, why would you leave your family in New Jersey? And, they love you so much. And like, yes, we love them so much. But
for sure.
But we, aside from his parents, we didn't have like a day-to-day or even like a week-to-week interaction with anybody in New Jersey other than his parents. And we did with his parents because we went out of our way to make sure, they would have went out of their way to see us too, which is why we went out of our way to see them. But we never had that with anybody else, like not one person in New Jersey. And it was 5 years of living there. And so to me, I was like, if I get to choose, and even Doug, I mean, of course, I never wanted him to leave his family but it's not leaving. I mean,
Yeah, I think this might have happened to a lot of people during COVID was, when you are forced to isolate, and then, how much do you really see your friends? How much do you really see? Like, you start to evaluate that. And it, like, just me staying there was just me, like I said before, like having a safety net. Like, that there's people there that love you and will be there. That can happen anywhere. They can still be there and love you from anywhere. Where is going to be the best place for our happiness, where we can grow, where, we feel comfortable and safe with our kids. And, we could have found that in New Jersey, but we found it in Florida. We found it in Sarasota. As soon as we moved down here, I think we both started to just realize this is the place where we're supposed to be.
Yeah, we really do like it. I mean, and primarily like Doug is just very much a beach guy, and I am very much into culture and like diversity, and it's very diverse here. It's just beautiful, and I mean, it's literally has absolutely nothing to do with the politics. We are on the straight and narrow and kind of just ignore the politics, and we just enjoy like the people here and
The weather,
and yeah, and it has good school systems. And so we're excited to settle our roots. So needless to say, after all of that, we are finally, at the moment we're recording this right now, we are pre-recording this, like we're recording it early because we're going to be packing up our home and we are going to be moving into our new house in Florida. And I hope we never, ever move from it. I'm so over moving. I have moved my whole life.
It is a house that we should be able to stay in for a while.
There's plenty of room for future babies and
community.
Yeah.
And, I mean, just the first couple times we went into that neighborhood, even, trick-or-treating, just absolute strangers just helping you and wanting to get to know you and wanting people to be around, and just the way that this is going to be, I think, a great transition for us.
Yeah, and I'm really proud of you, Doug, truly, for...
Well, I thank you. You've been really patient with me.
Well, you've been very patient with me, too. So...
I love you.
Look at you crying more than me.
I'm not crying.
I see your eyes.
I yawned. I yawned.
I'm always going to be here for you.
I love you.
I love you too. But I'm happy that you're letting me encourage you to like meet new people, because I feel like for so long, this just glitched, but for so long, you just didn't, like, you wouldn't let people in. You wouldn't even try to let people in. You wouldn't even let me let people in, because you would just want to be out of there.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that I'm still going through.
Yeah, but you're doing
I'm trying
a really good job.
I'm trying to meet new people and talk to people
and be honestly interested in them.
Yeah.
Life is more fun, isn't it? Like,
which is weird, because I've always been in sales, and but a lot of it is like surface conversations. Like I had a marketing job, a business to business job, where I was just like, you park your car and you spend the rest of the day walking into businesses and just trying to sell. And there would always be times where I would maybe like twice a week, I would always run into a stranger that I would talk to for like an hour, and just randomly. And but never, like, there are always conversations that you never follow up with. Like, you never say, you know what, like, this person could be a friend, and, maybe I should call this person or want to hang out with this person. Like, that just doesn't cross my mind, because I feel comfortable just here. Where I feel comfortable going places. What's uncomfortable is staying for a long time.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to stay for a long time, but I think the biggest thing that we both have to do is have conversations where we're genuinely asking we're genuinely interested in someone, and not everyone's going to be for us and we're not going to be for everyone. But man, if we could have like one good couple friend, that we both really enjoy being around and our kids enjoy their kids,
Yeah.
that would be phenomenal.
And I think we've had some prospects, I think, so far. Like I can name a couple people that I'm happy to see.
Yeah. I feel like I know who, like just some friends, the dads from Henley's class.
Yeah, which is really nice.
Yeah, I know. We actually do have one couple friend that Henley had her first time. She was at a friend's house without us, without any family and without us. And that is a big milestone.
Yeah,
I could barely
huge.
even like breathe. I was like, am I sure that this is okay? Am I sure? Am I sure? And Doug was like, yes.
Because we should explain. So they were having a party that we couldn't go to because we had things to do. And it wasn't our first thought to say, well, maybe one of the other parents can take Henley to the party.
Absolutely never crossed my mind.
Because and so the party was for her class. It was for them. And because we couldn't go, it never crossed our mind that we would let Henley go or have somebody drop her off. And then, the person suggested it. And we were just like, oh, yeah.
I guess that's an idea. And I was like, are we sure we trust them?
And I thought that was a great idea because Henley would have been
so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I kept on saying to Doug, I have such trust issues. If you've listened to this podcast at all, I have trust issues. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I probably would have just said no but I really trust Doug's judgment. Like I just really, really trust your judgment. And so I was like, if he says yes, then I'm going to try to let my baby fly. And
she had a great time.
And then that same one of the couple hosting it, they asked us to pick up their daughter to take her to dance. And I was like,
turns out that was their first time ever letting something like that happen.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, what an honor. They trusted us to pick up their baby girl and take her to dance. And so we're finding our people, and it's really exciting. But man, I feel like the world is just opening up, and I'm so proud of you, Douglas, because you have nothing to hide. Like, and I think anytime you feel like ashamed of some of your past, like whatever it might be, you have nothing to hide.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And I hope it's more freeing for you that you're able to share just like your journey. And I hope that I seriously don't judge. Like you can share with me. It has taken so long for you to share this much with me.
Yeah.
And I hope it's freeing for you. I hope it's like connects us more. I hope that
it is, because you get so used to hiding it. And then when you get used to hiding something for so long, it becomes harder and harder to share. And that just the longer you wait to do something, the harder it is. The longer you wait to open yourself up to somebody or to make friends, the harder it is to then make friends. And it was a while before I felt the need to really branch out and try to make new friends. And, that's mostly attributed to my wife because she's very social and really good at it.
I am not that good at it. I'm definitely socially awkward. Has anybody seen The Bachelor?
Yeah,
when I was on
true.
it.
Maria Menounos' mom.
Oh my gosh.
We won't mention that.
That's a previous episode. If you go back a couple
Sorry,
episodes.
Mrs. Menounos.
I know. I was like, hi. I even did that to your grandma, though, on Thanksgiving.
That's true.
I just get so awkward. Nervous energy and awkward.
Yeah, but no, like you reach out to people to make friends. Like even when you meet somebody, you share numbers and like, yeah, we'll hang out and blah, blah, blah. And then you actually follow up. Like,
yeah, I do.
I can't remember the last time that I did that.
Well,
other than like recently, like within the last like 6 months.
Yeah, you're doing good. You should be proud of yourself because I know it's hard. It's not easy to let people in. But needless to say, if you're someone who struggles letting people in, or if you're someone who moves and bounces around all the time, you're not alone. We do too.
That's it.
But we're trying our best here. And so next week, I am so excited because we have the Willardsons on the podcast.
Yes, and I had never heard of the Willardsons
I
until
follow
we
her
joined Family
Instagram.
Made.
Yeah.
They are part of this wonderful family of other podcasters and YouTubers, and I can't wait to speak with them.
I've been following Shannon Willardson. She's the mom. I've been following her for a very long time on Instagram. She's very, very wholesome and positive and uplifting, and they're trying to conceive a baby. We're trying to conceive a baby, and they're part of the same Family Made network that we are, and it just seems so fitting to have them on. I'm so happy that we, get to talk to them and meet them and
it's going to be a good one.
Develop a friendship with them. So so for those of you who are tuning in, thank you so much. And if you're still listening to this podcast after all of that,
yes,
thank you for hearing our hearts and being up with us on this journey.
And definitely consider leaving a review, any of your thoughts, a 5-star review. We're going to start to, we always have read on the podcast, and because most of them are now a year old, because that's how long it's been since we had a podcast episode.
If you leave a review, we'll probably
most
be
likely
yours
it's going to
next.
be the new one that's going to be read. So.
Yeah, so please leave a review on the podcast. Either way, whether you do or don't, we're so thankful that you're here. But for those of you who do, we give you an extra high five and an extra thank you because it means an awful lot to us.
We're going to have a lot of fun guests coming up, and we'll talk Married at First Sight for those fans that are into Married at First Sight.
Yeah, in your review or even on social media, we're on @HotMarriageCoolParents. Send us. We're going to start sharing this more and more, and we really had a good groove last time where you could literally talk to us. I mean, we want to be able to, to get to know you and talk with you and share what you want to know from us, and so and encourage you in areas that you want to be encouraged. So we're excited to get this ball back in rolling and to just develop the community that we had previously, and then invite more and more of you. So
the ball back and rolling.
The ball is back and rolling, and here we go. All right, I hope you have a great. Oh, geez.
Sorry, we have a soundboard now.
Oh my gosh, Douglas. So hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon. Love you guys.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.